My topic is my speeching journey. I intentionally use the word speeching because of late I've been realizing that although the verb of speak or the noun form of speaking is a speech, uh, there is a potential for a verb of speeching where I feel that speaking is what we do all the time to people around us, to our everybody, our friends, family. But speeching is about preparing, doing some maybe researching or some metacognition and getting your thoughts coherently, maybe rehearsing and presenting it to an audience, maybe using gestures, maybe using eye contact, maybe using vocal variety, right? So I feel that the word speeching has a lot of scope and effect, and I'm planning to bring more awareness to this word of speeching. But with that, I just wanted to use the icebreaker. Typically, it's used for introducing the person to the club, but because I've been around this club for a while, I wanted to introduce my speeching journey of my how I have been giving speeches and what I have learned over time as a way of introducing myself to the club, reintroducing myself to the club. One of the key moments of my speeching journey was during a conference when a Japanese engineer who was working with our research group at that time, he came up to me and said, "Your speech was very good. You had no ahs and ums." And at that time, I had no idea of what that meant. And I thought maybe he felt my speech to be clean for some reason and I didn't give much thought to it. But I'm going to get to that story. I want to start off when my first speech was when I was in 4th grade. I was asked to give a speech in front of pretty much the whole school, maybe like 4 or 5 grades of the school. And I had a speech written and memorized. I think my mom helped me with the speech writing. I memorized it. I went to give the speech on the stage. This was probably my first time being on stage and talking by myself. I have probably been on some small staged plays and stuff, but talking to an entire crowd, that was my first time. And I was a bit nervous. I was nervous, but I didn't realize that I was nervous because I felt my legs trembling all through, but I didn't really feel scared. I was focused on getting that speech out. And that probably was what got me through the speech. I even forgot a line or two in the middle. I paused, I tried to think, and then I recollected. I did all that. But I think the main thing that experience did not turn out unpleasant was because my teacher who asked me to give the speech, after the speech, she came and appreciated me and said I did a good job. I think that is what Toastmasters is all about, is providing that safe space and not criticizing or putting down somebody. It's about encouraging them and the fact that that is one speech and you are on a learning path. I think that made a huge difference to my confidence overall of speaking. After that, I never gave any speeches, and during college I probably gave a couple of seminars or presentations, and one of the conference presentations when I was in grad school here in the US, and that's when I got the comment from the Japanese engineer saying there were no ahs and ums, and I realized at that time that probably he felt it a clean speech, but I still didn't know what it meant. How do you get that clean speech out? But the one thing I do remember from that is I had made the slides, so I knew the content, and I had gone over the slides, the flow of the slides a few times. So I knew what to expect, what would be coming up next. And that probably made it clear in my head that it came out clear. That was what I took away from that. And then fast forward, I joined my first company, which was TE Connectivity, and I came to know about Toastmasters from Craig and Len. And at that time I realized that Toastmasters focuses on aside from the prepared speeches, it focuses on the verbal infractions of how many or other verbal distractions that we utter. And I realized that that is a sign of how clear the message is in our head. When we are talking in an interview, when we are trying to communicate to somebody and convey our ideas, it does make a difference to how clear the idea is in our mind and how we convey it. Stuttering a lot is one thing, that's a physical trait and people overcome that. But using verbal infractions is something everybody can overcome with practice. And that's one of the main things that I learned from Toastmasters, was how the only way to come across or talk clean is through practice. And the other part about Toastmasters was the formalized learning experience. Usually when we give a talk in offices or in school, there is no feedback that we get. There is no structure on how to write a speech or a concise directed feedback on what could have been improved. Maybe you should have used better gestures. Maybe you should have looked at the audience and not look at the ceiling. Things like that. Those directed feedback were one of the most effective things about Toastmasters, and they have helped me a lot over time. Pathways, which is the training program of Toastmasters, has also been very helpful in providing a guided set of projects to work through. And the other aspect I really like about Toastmasters is I initially thought that it's about communicating and speaking, but it turns out Toastmasters has a lot of leadership development as well to offer. As a member, maybe we don't see it, but as we take up officer roles, then we get more complexity, we get more responsibilities. And as we get more responsible roles, such as a president or an area director, then the complexity increases. But it builds up gradually and you have a lot of resources to help with. And what I realized is leadership in general is about being able to handle complexity more than anything. So by providing a safe environment where mistakes are not expensive, you can make a mistake. There are no financial implications. There are no legal implications unless you're going out of the line. So these provide a safe space in Toastmasters to provide us with an experience to experiment with our skills and learn and grow. So I just would like to thank Toastmasters and every one of our members here for making up the club and for providing that safe space and allowing all of us to experiment and make mistakes, learn and grow.